Hey there, toy collector friends and Batman fans alike. Welcome back to the channel, and this time we're looking at the Hero Collector and Eaglemoss Batcopter from their Batman Automobilia range. I think it's one of the special editions, but actually I can't remember because it was so long ago now whether it came as a special edition or it was just in the main range. There's a part of me that thinks it came in the main range. But certainly in terms of its size, it's kind of... It certainly has that it has that special edition type of feel to it. It's beautifully detailed actually, and the case is nice and clear, as I so it's giving me a really nice opportunity to sort of zoom through it. We'll talk about the curiosity of the lenticular background in a second, but it is definitely again one of my favorites because it takes me right back to watching the Batman TV series and of course the Batman movie, the original Batman 1960s movie with Adam West and Burt Ward, where they did a bit of a full old run of as many of the Bat vehicles as possible to really sort of sell it and engage, I think, the audience of the time. So I love it. I love that this came in the range. It reminds me particularly, and I think I've mentioned this in another video, it reminds me particularly of I want to say Corgi. Somebody will tell me it's Matchbox probably, but I want to say it's Corgi. Batman toys from the 70s. I had, as I've mentioned, I know already, the Batmobile with the pop out blade at the front, and the shooty missile things from the back. I had that and the Batboat, which was black and orange with like a gold or bronze looking kind of trailer which attached of sorts to the back of the Batmobile, and the Batcopter. But the Batcopter didn't look like this in its Corgi toy form. It had, as I recall anyway, I might be misremembering, but it had hideous sort of orange blades that you could I think you could contract. They rotated, but I think you could contract them in, so they went from 4 to 2, but they were really hideous plastic, designed sort of in a batwing formation, a bit like, sorry, I think they were sort of eliciting the color scheme from this and converting it into that, but it wasn't good in terms of its level of accuracy, but it was fun to play with, and it could withstand quite the beating. But this is beautiful. This is a beautiful figure, beautiful vehicle, I should say, really wonderfully detailed. I'm going to take the case off in a second so we can see it in a bit more detail. But I just want to sort of tackle what really is the only elephant in this particular room, is the lenticular backdrop. The ones we've seen so far have all given a sense of comic book accuracy, etc., to what we've looked at, and there's more to come on that in the future. But this one is a still from I think it's from the film or from the series, of that classic 1960s Batmobile on an airfield. But there's absolutely no regard paid to perspective. There's no regard paid to accuracy. It's the Batmobile. If this Batmobile's parked there behind the Batcopter and is that size, then the Batcopter is probably a tiny remote control thing by comparison, because that's ridiculous. You can see the Batmobile in relation to planes and jets in the background to it there on the left hand side. You can see that. So the fact that the Batmobile in the foreground is that big compared to this in the 4x4 foreground is absolute lunacy. But anyway, there's nothing more madcap, I don't think, than the 1960s Batman TV series. There's the top view with the Bat logo on the sort of crystal case. I'm going to just try and lift this off simply and see whether that will work without too much complication. It's not gone too badly. Let's get that out of the way for now. In fact, let me pop that there and have a very quick look at this. So yeah, so this is still in that sort of lenticular format to give it a sense of 3D diorama, But you can see there's just, and it's a lovely lenticular picture of the Batmobile, to be perfectly honest. In and of itself, it's quite good. I'd collect a few of these if they were going. But in terms of it actually providing a relatively decent backdrop to the Batcopter, alas, no. For me, that is not the way. But that's what we've got, so let's pop that over there for now. And then let's take a very, very close look at this. This is a beautiful model. It reminds me as well, just looking at some of the detailing, not that I was very good at making models, but it reminds me, for reasons I can't quite put my finger on, of Airfix kits back when I was 7, 8, 9 years old. I used to sit with my father, and together we'd make Airfix kits, which were usually aircraft, planes and what have you, but were predominantly World War I, World War II, which I didn't have a huge interest in at the time, but World War I, World War II types of vehicles, and tanks and motorcycles. And you had to glue them into place, and they were remarkably detailed. You usually had to paint them yourself, again, not something I'm particularly skilled at. So my dad took over that side of things. But it was, but this reminds me of that, and I really don't know why. I think in terms of a disappointment is the base. Now again, this coupled with the rather ludicrous outsized Batmobile lenticular means that you get a really nice model here, but you don't get a really good display opportunity, because it really doesn't have that kind of display ability that some of the others have had. And again, that becomes a bit of a theme as we get into the Automobilia collection. However, what it does have is some really, really good detailing and surface detailing. So let's just take a look at that, just making sure it's in focus. So you can see the bat insignia that creeps up over the canopy there with the red outline. I love that. And the antenna there that just protrudes from the canopy. If I turn it around, you might be able to see it a bit better against the white there. Can you see that there? I think it looks like it could be a hair on the screen. It's not. It is the antenna, and I really love that. And you can see it feeding inside the canopy. We'll turn it round a little more. See if I can zoom in purely on the canopy, if it's at all possible for me to do that. Let's see what we can do. There we are. Hasn't quite worked the way I wanted it to. Apologies for that. So you can see inside there's the gear, there's the joystick, there's some essential bat navigation equipment, and there's the continuity of that, which I think is really clever. That aerial that goes right through in the cockpit, up and out at the front. And you can see there's the seats there for the bat pilots. It's, again, they can only cram so much in. I appreciate that, but they do manage to cram in quite a bit of detail, and I think that's really, really good. You can see there's what looks like a handle there. There's a lot going on in there. Then you can see the landing gear. We almost want a bat ladder that we can throw down to rescue Batman. The bat insignia again on the top view there. The bat insignia there at the top, and the total top view. You can see that the bat wings that come out of the side. I do love the sparkly red along that rear tail section there. Now the light's helping to augment that, but I really like it. I love the detailing of it. I love the detailing of the rotor blades, and that little extra detailing at the back there. Let me bring it around with it. I know there's space. So you can see that sort of at the back. There's the detailing there of the sort of the bat wing element that still forms that back fin. So all in all, the rear propeller and the little stuff, there's so much packed into this little set, into this little model. I think they do such a great job with it, as they tend to do, as they tend to do with these things. But I think this is a particularly well done model of the copter. Again, disappointed about the general display diorama, for want of a better phrase. Don't even think we can get away with calling it that, but for the sake of argument, let's try. So yeah, that's a bit disappointing. And the outsized Batmobile backdrop, I think, is a general bone of contention for most people. But I can get past that because I'm invested in the model itself. Would I have liked something a bit more logical, or at least a bit more in perspective? Yes, I would, because it does really throw the scale off of what the Batcopter would be, and I think that would have been an easy fix for them. But then maybe it wouldn't have had the same effect on a lenticular background. If the Batmobile was too small, maybe it wouldn't have played. I don't know. I'm not a lenticular engineer or artwork designer, so I could be talking out of my hat. But anyway, there we go. This was like a little tour around the Batman Batcopter from the classic 1960s series and the 1960s movie. I personally really like it. I think it's one of their strong entries, of which there are many in this particular collection. I think Hero Collector and Eaglemoss did a sterling job here. You do occasionally see these cropping up. It's quite lightweight. It's held into place. I'm always nervous of turning these things over, but you can see it's held into place with screws which hold those plastic things down there. So it's quite well held in. But yeah, I do occasionally get a little on the nervous side, purely because I know what some of the starships that they've done for Space 1999 or for Star Trek can be like in terms of their fragility. And don't get me wrong, this is fragile. It doesn't, the blades don't rotate because it isn't designed to rotate. It's not a toy, it's a display model. I think the same is true there at the BR. Nothing actually moves. It is fixed in place. So again, bear that in mind, because if we were to give this to a child to hold, within seconds they'd be trying to rotate their blade at the front or the back, and then it's off. And as we know, replacing these nowadays, really challenging, really challenging. So is it 100% screen accurate? Well, I think there were a slight adjustments made. I'm by no means a Batcopter aficionado, and I don't claim to be. I'm here just to look at whether or not I love the model, and in this case I do. Do I think there might be some slight discrepancies with how it appeared on screen? I think there probably are, not least because I suspect between uses there would have been modifications and changes to the Batcopter anyway, so I think having one definitive for something that was probably routinely adjusted or slightly redecoed for the screen is going to be an impossible ask. Is it evocative sufficiently for me? Yes, it is. Even down to these very small, and believe me, it is very small, bat symbols on these two fuel tanks, I would suggest they were. There's just so much that works. There may be a few things, and again, for bat aficionados looking at this screaming because they see something that I don't, by all means, let me know in the comments below and share that with others. But for me, it really grabs at my sense of nostalgia, which of course I'm very big on, and it does enough work to take me back. It takes me back to watching that in the 70s. I wasn't around in the 60s to watch it, but in the 70s on the reruns, I think predominantly on a Sunday afternoon, and of course the Bat movie. So yeah, I think it's really lovely, and it almost completes that 1966 run of, just in 1966, I don't know why I said that, but the sort of the 1960s run of vehicles that Eaglemoss issued. There are still a couple more out there, and we will touch on those. But in terms of the key players, there are these. There's two more that I can think of that I've got to share. But I think with the release of the upcoming, where we are now at time of recording, here in May 2023, we've got the Flash movie coming up, which reintroduces us to a couple of other Bat phenomenon. And I think I might pick something from that for the next one to look at. But anyway, thanks very much for spending the last quarter of an hour or so with me. It's brilliant. I always love it when you choose to spend your time with me, because there's lots of things you could be doing instead. I hope you found a little perusal of the Batcopter to be fun and interesting and enlightening. And if you do see it out and about in the wild, probably at conventions now, where people are selling it on the secondary market, by all means have a look. I think it's a lovely piece, but do check that it's got everything in place. It's got that, you know, because people will be asking whatever they think people will pay for it. Do make sure it's complete with that antenna, all of the blade elements, including that rear rotor, if they're telling you it's complete. And don't forget to try and have a good look in the canopy to make sure it's got all of that equipment in there that it should have. You know, I think it's, but it's, yeah, do I think it's a really good piece? Yes, I absolutely do. I absolutely do. And I think it complements the other 1960s Bat family of vehicles beautifully well. So it's a thumbs up for me. So, again, I will leave you with that thought. If you don't currently follow the channel, you're not subscribed, please do. It's just a little click for you, but it's a huge leap for me and the channel. Much, much, much appreciated. I hope you've enjoyed what you've seen, as I've already mentioned. I again will be along very shortly with another video. If in the meantime you want to have a check out of the channel, by all means do so. There's other Batman stuff, there's Doctor Who, there's Space 1999, there's Battlestar Galactica, there's Transformers, there's Star Trek, there's G.I. Joe stuff, there's all sorts of things that you can find there, and a few things that are a bit peculiar as well, because why wouldn't there be? Anyway, have a lovely time, have a lovely day, and thanks for staying tuned till the end. I will see you in a future video. I've been the Time Travelling Toy Collector, and this has been the Eaglemoss Hero Collector Batcopter from the original 1960s TV series, and I will see you in the next video. Just remember, a thing of beauty really is a toy forever. Bye-bye for now.